We're here today with former board chair Stephen Crocker and current board chair Shireen Chalabi. Steve, let's start with you. You're leaving behind a substantial legacy, but you're also leaving behind some important issues that Shireen must now undertake. What are some of the most important ones?
Well, one that's very much on my mind is the Who Is Registration Data Services. That's been an outstanding or long-standing problem. 5 years ago, the board took strong action to try to set that on a new course, and it has not yet gelled. We have not yet gotten to the place where we need to get. And now there's pressures with the GDPR. So that's a whole collection of issues around Who Is that needs to be taken care of, and it's going to take even more work.
Is there one issue that in your mind you're going, I wish we could have reached resolution on that one before I depart?
Well, that's the one that I feel. I thought we had enough time to get that under control, and I'm sort of disappointed that it's still hanging out there.
Shireen, let me ask you this. You're a new chair, but you're certainly not new to the ICANN board, having served there for a number of years. What are your priorities as you assume the new role as chair?
Okay, so Steve has mentioned the business priority. I'd like to come at it from a different angle. And to me, the most important thing is that the board should become a reliable partner of the community. And that's how our stakeholders should see us. What do I mean by a reliable partner? It means that we're good listeners, we understand their issues, meaning that our priorities are aligned with their priorities, meaning that we make thoughtful decisions on their behalf. It also means that we have to be transparent and they have to trust us. And finally, I think it means that we have to act in the collective interest of all the stakeholders and not the single interest of one stakeholder. But partnership goes both ways. So we will do our effort to become the reliable partner, but I think the community also need to act as our partners and help us in achieving our objectives.
And that sounds like a process. That's not going to just, you don't snap your fingers and that happens overnight. That's a process, correct?
There is a process, especially that if you go back before the transition, the trust between the community and the board was not at its highest. But the transition process have actually caused that trust to improve. And I think as we go forward, the number one thing really that will make it work is that we trust each other. And when we make mistakes, we collaborate and operate in a collaborative manner to fix those mistakes.
And you mentioned accountability as being a major foundation to achieve that.
Absolutely. And accountability works both ways. We are accountable to the community. They are accountable to themselves. But I think at the end, we're all accountable to each other. We're all together. We have a lot of challenges ahead. And as long as we work together in a clear, transparent, and trusting way, I am confident that we will make progress and rise to the challenges.
Steve, in your opening speech, you talked about ICANN no longer being considered an experiment. Elaborate on that.
Well, I'm sure that the people who orchestrated the creation of ICANN fully intended that it was a permanent operation when it was put together, but with a certain sense of realism that it was yet to be proven. We're now 19 years into the process, and if you add up any of the statistics, the amount of money, the number of people, the number of issues, number of meetings, et cetera, and the awareness, we're now very much a part of the firmament in the internet ecology. And also, if you look at some of the other things that are going on around the internet environment, we're even perhaps more stable and better organized than some of our counterparts. So I think there's no question, at least in my mind, that we've become accepted that the issue of whether we should exist as way in the rearview mirror, that the function we perform is pretty well understood, that our role in the world is understood even by people who are not intimately involved with us, but is just part of the overall business and governmental and academic communities understand.
With your departure from the board,
yeah.
you're an internet pioneer. With your departure, are we losing that historical context? Are we losing that institutional memory?
Yeah, and that's a good thing. It gets replaced by myths, which then persist forever.
Shireen, at the end of the day, how are you going to gauge your success as chair?
Well, I think it isn't just about my success. But let me start by telling you how I see the role of the chair. The role of the chair is a very pivotal role for the board. It's a role that has to harness all the talent of the board and also create an environment for effectiveness and collegiality. But I don't want to gauge my success. I think the community will gauge my success and the board's success if we, at the end, meet the challenges, some of them Steve have described, and also if they trust us and end up really feeling that we are the reliable partner. So that's and I've explained what it means. I don't want to go through it again, but that is a good measure, is the community to assess our success.
So much of what you seem to be saying, what I'm hearing you say, is it's really about the organization, the board, the community working together and a sort of mutual trust.
Indeed, absolutely. We have to follow on from the transition. The transition gave us an independence which is priceless. It is up to us now how to take this to the next level. It is up to us to implement the bylaws, which are, the new ones, I have to say, are complex. They're 250 pages long compared to the old ones, which were 50. And we haven't tested the implementation of those. Plus, there are also some changes coming along as a result of Work Stream 2 and the accountability. How do we implement those is going to be crucial. There will be differences of opinion. There will be opposing groups. But to deal with them in a collaborative way that doesn't break the trust is essential. We have to preserve that, and we have to make sure that we and the community are on the same side and deal with these issues as if we are truly partners rather than two opposite sides.
Final question for you. Steve came to the role with a highly technical background. You're coming to the role with a very successful business background. What does that bring to the table for ICANN?
I have to start with the joke that Steve brought in one of the speeches, where he said he's trying to teach me to count in binary, and I'm trying to teach him some Arabic words. So that was a very, very nice joke. But I have to say something about that. When I became vice chair, he gave me a test, 7 questions to answer in binary. I haven't answered until today, and I don't think he's happy about that. Let me say, on a more serious note, I will never match Steve's technical skills. That is impossible, right? He's a giant of the internet. He's a pioneer. I am not. I do, though, have a technical background. I have an engineering background and also a computing sciences degree. And I worked in the field of systems and software and hardware for a good part of 20 years. So I do have an appreciation of the technical side. But what I do bring, I think, is a lot of experience of governance and strategic thinking, because that's what I've been doing for the last number of years. And I think, like Steve said, ICANN is no longer a startup. We are an organization which is 19 years old. We have 400 people, 150 million in expenses. We have location in 13 countries around the world. We have major issues forward. And now it's time to evolve a little bit and take it further in terms of management, governance, and structure, so that when all of those are in place and they are in place well, it frees the mind. It allows us to focus on the business issues rather than waste our time on processes and organization. So often people ask me, say, what will you do differently to Steve? Well, I say the answer is simple, is evolution and not revolution. I mean, we have, under Steve's stewardship, really advanced the board, really advanced the way we do things. We've restructured our workshop, we've restructured our thinking. Of course, we can do more. It's a continuous improvement. But I want to take away all the sort of administrative and organizational and structural things away from day-to-day decision, so that we focus almost entirely 100% on what the community needs and on the issues at hand.
Excellent. Shireen Chalabi, thank you very much. Best of luck in your new role. Steve Crocker, best of luck in your new endeavors. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.